I think it is vitally important that we do commit ourselves deeply to Christian life, and not just any church, but a church that teaches truth. I of course, I'm Orthodox, so I would say I hope everyone becomes Orthodox. That's not going to happen, but at least find a church that you can trust, the authority of which you trust. And for me, that would be either the Catholic or the Orthodox Church, and it's a shame that we are out of communion, but we're both rooted in the ancient pre-modern Christian world. So I think maybe a way to put it is to get involved in a church, a Christian church with pre-modern sensibilities. So I would say it's important to be in a sacramental church, a liturgical church, a church with pre-modern sensibilities that still maintains continuity with the church of the first millennium. But I would also say you need community. I'm a living example of someone for whom having a good prayer life and knowing all the doctrines in my head is still not enough. I need to be around other people who share my faith. And I think that we have to be countercultural. You have to stop fooling yourself that you can live fully and without many problems in the world as it is today, the post-Christian world, and still hold on to your faith. It will eat away at you if you don't. This doesn't mean that you should look down on other people. Absolutely not. Nor does it mean that you should withdraw completely from the world. It's very hard to do and not a good idea. We have to be Christ for the world. But as I said earlier, if you are going to be Christ for the world, you have to first be truly Christian for yourself. I wrote the Benedict option book because I believe that the example of St. Benedict and the early Benedictine monks, they have a model for us. We're not living in separated, religiously consecrated community, but what the Benedictines did was realize that if they're going to hold on to their faith, they do need to live under a certain set of spiritual disciplines. They need to live within a community of accountability. And we lay Christians in the world today, I believe we are called to be what Pope Benedict called creative minorities, and figure out ways to be faithful in this world, in this post-Christian world, to bring the light of Christ to it. One of the things that I really was impressed by at Chartres was the idea of pilgrimage. The idea that we can go on a long walk to a holy place with other Christians, praying as we go. I was reminded there of a distinction that this modern sociologist, a Marxist actually, Zygmunt Bauman, made about our modern times. He said that in past times, everyone experienced life as a pilgrimage, meaning that everyone was going together on a meaningful journey, a familiar journey down well-trodden paths. We encounter obstacles along the way, have adventures, but eventually we will end up at the same destination. That's just life, right? And that's not necessarily a religious angle to it. And this was the life that existed until I think I was born into this world in somewhat. Because I remember in my generation, it was assumed that you go to school, you get your college diploma or whatever, you get married, you have kids, you get a stable job, then you have grandchildren, then you die. Well, that world is gone. And I think one of the reasons that we are in a meaning crisis throughout the West today, especially in the younger generations, is we all live life not as pilgrims, but as tourists. Zygmunt Bauman said a tourist is different from a pilgrim in that his journey has no direction, has no form. He goes from here to there, driven only by his individual will and seeking to avoid boredom. But the journey doesn't go anywhere. The church has been on pilgrimage through the world for 2,000 years. It knows the way. These young people in Chartres, these 19, 20-year-old young people, they lost faith in the modern world, and they simply want to reconnect to the pilgrim path that the church and generation after generation of Christians before us have been following. That's how we need to think about things. Living in Europe as I do, I see acutely that our entire civilization in the West is under threat. It was a civilization based on Christianity, not perfectly realized Christianity. We're not going to create heaven on earth, But all of the good things that we all value today, the freedoms we value, the equal rights, the rule of law, all of that, it came out of Christianity ultimately, and we will not be able to hold on to it unless we have a serious and widespread return to the faith.